This is Big Titan with Titan Up Sports, and today we're gonna do a little fantasy football. We're gonna do starting six with the wide receivers for NFL Week 4. So let's get to it, man. Let's get to it. Hopefully, this will help some of y'all with your fantasy team as far as who you want to start, or if you got any injuries to your team, or you're looking for a flex to fit in for this week. Hopefully, there's a little bit of information I give you um, will help you out. So basically, what I'm going to be doing, I'll be going through each team, and I'm gonna let you know the starts and the sits, and give you a little bit of information to go with it. All right, man. Let's get it, man. So we're gonna go to the first game. First game Thursday night. Dallas and the Giants. Dallas and the Giants, which is a division game, big division game always. This game right here, you got your receiver, CD Lamb for the Cowboys. And with the Giants, you got Malik Neighbors and Wendell Robinson. So first of all, with this game, man, CD Robinson, you most definitely want to start. You most definitely want to start him against the Giants. Um, Cause basically he gets a lot of volume and he gets a lot of volume, he gets a lot of targets. So you most definitely want to start CD Lamb in this game. Um, Brandon Cooks, he's more kind of dependent on the big play with the Cowboys. So with him, I wouldn't start him as your number one receiver. You might want to put him maybe in a flex, your flex two receiver, or your flex three, depending on what type of league you're playing in. But the thing with Brandon Cooks, he's more on a big play dependent. With him. And as far as with the Giants, man, one important thing that y'all need to know is right now through the first couple of games of the season, Dallas secondary is allowing the fourth fewest receptions and the sixth fewest receiving yards to wide receivers. So in this particular game where you got Malik Neighbors, Wendell Robinson, with this right here, I would sit them. Um, Malik Neighbors, if you gotta use him, maybe you might want to put him in the flex, but most definitely Wendell Robinson, I would sit him with this game going against Dallas defense. 'Cause Dallas, their secondary is pretty good against the pass. Their problem is stopping the run. But we'll get into that on my next show when I get into start and sit with the running backs. All right, we're gonna go into the next game, which is the Atlanta Falcons and the Saints, man, which is a big division game, man. Atlanta and the Saints, man, and they playing in Atlanta, so this is gonna be a big game, man. So let's get to it, man. Right now, Atlanta defense is allowing the 10th fewest yards to wide receivers, and uh, the Saints have allowed the ninth most receiving yards to wide receivers, but they're not letting anybody get in the end zone. They're not letting you get touchdowns. You're getting the yards, but you're not getting touchdowns. So dealing with that situation with this game, I most definitely would start Drake London. Um, like I said, the Saints, they've been pretty good at keeping people out of the end zone. They haven't allowed a receiver to get a touchdown this year. But Drake London, he most definitely will get the yards because they're, like I said, they're in ninth most team with giving up receiving yards. So I most definitely would start uh, Drake London. And as far as Darnell Mooney, um, you might want to put him in the flex. But only thing with Mooney, he doesn't get a lot of targets, so that's one thing you want to think about with him. And with the Saints, Chris Olave, you always want to start Chris Olave, even though he got a matchup with AJ Terrell with the Falcons. You always want to start Chris Olave if you got him on your team because he most definitely gonna get the most targets out of everybody. So he's a pretty safe floor. He might not get you a lot of points, but he should get you a decent amount of points because of his target volume that he gets. And your next receiver, Rashid Shaheed. Hopefully, I pronounced that right. Um, he's more. He did pretty good. The first two games, he had some big plays, big down the field touchdown plays. But last week he didn't do so hot against the Eagles. The Eagles pretty much shut him down, man. So this game when he go against the Falcons, like I told you earlier, the Falcons are um, they're allowing the 10th fewest yards to wide receivers. So this particular game right here, yeah, I would start Olave, start Drake London, Rashid. This game right here, he'll probably be more dependent on the big play. But one thing I will tell you, last week, even though he didn't really do good with the stats, he did drop 2 touchdowns. So that's just one to keep in mind. So if you're in a situation where you got somebody hurt or something, you might want to take a chance on him, as a flex receiver because he does have the big play possibility, going with him. All right, moving on along, man. We're gonna move to the Vikings and the Packers, man, which is another big game, division game, man. Vikings and the Packers, man. It's a big division game. And of course, Justin Jefferson, you always want to start him, man. I don't care who you playing against, man. You always want to start Justin Jefferson. That dude, he get open, man. It don't matter if you're double teaming him, you're zoning him, you're manning up. That boy, he get open, man. He'll route runner. So you always want to start Justin Jefferson. Their second receiver, Addison, man, he still haven't played yet. Matter of fact, I don't think he even has practice yet, man. So if you got him on the team, I guess you must just sit on him for a little while because he he still haven't even practiced yet, man. So I wouldn't, but also Jalen Naylor, man, he's been doing pretty good the first couple of games, getting touchdowns. So um, you could give him, you can put him in the flex. You could flex him, but you know, uh, he might not get a lot of targets like that, but you could flex him. As far as with the Packers, you most definitely want to start Jaden Reed this week. With Jordan Love back in the lineup, so the offense gonna pick back up this week with him being in the lineup. And fun fact, one thing I will tell you is the Vikings they've been giving up a lot of yards, but they haven't they've been pretty stingy with not allowing touchdowns. They're giving up a lot of yards, but they're not giving up touchdowns. So, and also another thing you want to look at, the Vikings also they gave up the second most receiving yards to wide receivers. So, with the Packers, you most definitely want to start Jaden Reed and Romeo Dobbs. I'm sorry, you most definitely want to put him in your flex. So, with that game, you want to start Jefferson. You want to start Jefferson, because he most definitely gonna get the volume. Jaden Reed, he has a very good matchup this week. Like I said, the Vikings, they give up a lot of yards. They're stingy with the touchdowns, but they give up a lot of yards. But I'll take that chance any day of the week because, getting a lot of yards, getting that red zone, you never know what might happen. Back shoulder pass, fade route, you never know. So that particular game, that's who we start. Next game we're gonna go to the Colts and the Steelers. And this is gonna be a good game right here, man. But I will tell you, man, the Colts, man, they've been giving up a lot of yards. They've been giving up a lot in the passing game, man. Right now, the Colts are giving up the sixth most fantasy points to receivers, and also they're giving up the seventh most receiving yards to receivers. So that lets you know already. You most definitely want to start George Pickens with the Pittsburgh Steelers. You most definitely want to start George Pickens. Their second receiver, Calvin Austin the third. Um, he could have a good day also because the Colts, they give up, a lot of fantasy points and receiving yards to receivers. So he would probably be somebody, you can use in your flex if you got a receiver hurt because they got a pretty good matchup against the Colts this week. And as far as as far as the Colts receivers, man, because right now Anthony Richardson he's been pretty like inconsistent, especially with throws in the middle of the field. He's been pretty bad with throws in the middle of the field. This matchup right here, Pittsburgh, they're pretty good on defense. Mike Pittman, he hasn't been doing too good, so I would sit him. I would sit downs, and I probably would more go with Alec Pierce. And I say that because Anthony Richardson, one thing he does do, he's pretty good with the deep ball, and most of the time when he does do that deep ball, take those shots like that, most of the time it's to Alex Pierce. So with him, maybe you might want to. That's maybe somebody else you might want to use as a flex, man. All right, man. Moving on along. Moving on along. We're gonna move to the Washington Commanders and the Cardinals game, man. Um, this right here would be a great matchup. As far as for Marvin Harrison Jr. Because right now, man, Washington secondary, they are horrible right now. Right now, Washington defense, they're allowing the most fantasy points and the most touchdowns to receivers. So that lets you know, hey, this stat week for Marvin Harrison Jr. Stat week for him. So you most definitely want to start him. And you probably want to, if you got Greg Dortch on your team, that's probably somebody else you might want to use in your wide receiver 2 flex. He would be a decent pickup for that. And as far as with the Redskins, man, Terry McLaurin, you can use him. Me honestly, I would say you use him as a flex, but he is big dependent on the big plays. He's very dependent on the big plays, which with Jaden Daniels, man, he's pretty accurate with those deep throws. So I'm pretty sure he probably would get at least one big play in that game. Him and Daniels, they've been pretty good connecting up, man. So I would definitely use him as a flex on that game. All right then, man. Moving on along, man. We're gonna move to the Rams and the Chicago game, man. The Rams and the Chicago game. This game right here, man. Chicago defense right now, they're allowing the ninth fewest receiving yards and the sixth fewest fantasy points to receivers. So their defense is pretty stingy as far as when it comes to the passing game with the receivers. On the other hand, with the Rams, man, they're not good on the passing on the defense, man. They're allowing the fourth most yards to receivers, and they also have allowed the second most fantasy points to receivers. Also, they're first in allowing touchdowns to receivers. So they bad all the way around in the secondary, man. So this right here is a great matchup for DJ Moore and your second receiver Romeo Odunze. I guess that's how you pronounce his name. You most definitely want to start DJ Moore and him, man, because like I said, the Rams they struggling in their secondary right now. And I just gave you that. Matter of fact, I'm gonna read it to you one more time because they is trash in the secondary. They are allowing the fourth most yards to receivers, and they also have allowed the second most fantasy points to receivers, and they first in allowing touchdowns to receivers. Dang, trash for real. All right, moving on along. Let's move on to the Broncos and the Jets game, man. Now, this game right here, these one of these games, man. Hey, you better strap your chin strap up, elbow pad, knee pad, the good mouthpiece, all of this, man. Cause this gonna be a good defensive game, man. But one thing I will say right now, the Jets defense is giving up the eighth fewest yards to receivers. So it's not going to be a good matchup as far as with Sutton, Reynolds, and Humphrey. If you ask me, man, my opinion, I would sit all of them against the Jets defense, man. Especially with Bo Nix at quarterback right now because he is not throwing the ball downfield. Everything he's throwing is short. Everything he's throwing is short. Like the receivers, they're getting a lot of targets, but they're not getting a lot of yards because he's throwing short. Matter of fact, he's only averaging between 5 to 6 yards per completion. So I most definitely, I would sit all the receivers for the Broncos, man. Um, and also with the Jets, man. With the Jets, man, the Broncos, they got a good defense. They got a good secondary too, man. They're only giving up. They're giving up the fourth fewest yards to receivers, and they're giving up the second fewest fantasy points to receivers. So their secondary is pretty stingy, also. Both secondaries are pretty stingy, man. So this game right here is not going to be a good game for neither one of the receivers for either team. But um, and then Garrett Wilson, Patrick Surtain is probably going to be on him unless they maybe move Garrett Wilson, maybe move him around, try to put him in the slot, try to get him, move him around, situation like that. So if you got Garrett Wilson, if you got to play him, maybe you could use him as a flex because of the targets. He'll probably get the targets. But if you ask me, man, Allen Lazard probably will get the better shot because if Surtain get on Garrett, then Lazard he might be the one to get the targets that day, man. So there you go with that one, man. And now we're gonna move to the next one, man. We're gonna go to the Eagles and the Tampa game, man. And right now, man, the Eagles they're hurting, man, because AJ Brown he's hurt. Devontae Smith got hurt the last game. So, you want to keep an eye on that, about with the receivers, man. And right now, the Eagles secondary, man, they're not looking good either, man. They're giving up the second most touchdowns to receivers right now. And they're giving up the third most points, the third most fantasy points. So they'll let you know right there with Tampa, you most definitely want to start Mike Evans and you want to start Chris Godwin. You want to start both of them. And I don't know if y'all seen the game, but one of their cornerbacks, a big play, they call him big play, Darius Slay. I don't know if y'all seen that lineman from the Saints last week, man, blocked him down there under the bleachers to the sideline, man. I was like, dang. I'm talking about that was some blindside blocking right there. But anyway, when Slay got up, he was hurt. He was limping. So that's one thing you want to keep an eye on, to see if Darius Slay if he played. Because if he missed the game, they're already not good in the secondary. And if he missed the game, Mike Evans and Godwin, especially Mike Evans on the outside, they most definitely both of them will have big games in that game. And as far as like I said with the Eagles, with AJ Brown and Devontae Smith hurt, man, and then Tampa, they haven't even allowed a touchdown to a receiver yet. They haven't allowed a touchdown to a receiver this season yet. So if the two main receivers don't play, then they'll end up playing with Jahan Dotson and Paris Campbell. Man, I'm not gonna trust that. If you got those guys, you kind of use your own judgment with that, man. But my opinion, I wouldn't touch them. I wouldn't touch them on that game. All right, man. Moving on along. We're gonna move to the Chiefs and the Chargers game, man. Which should be a pretty good game, a division game, man. Um, I'm most definitely gonna start Rashid Rice, man. Even though the Chargers are allowing right now, they're allowing the seventh fewest fantasy points to receiver, which is that's good, man. Um, but even though they're giving up the fewest points to receivers, I would just my opinion. And all of this, I'm giving you the stats, and some of it is my opinion. So, um, you have your judgment on some of the stuff, but I'm giving you my opinion based off the stats and the information that I gather. Um, you know, with these teams going against these different defenses and the secondaries and stuff. So, um, and one thing that I'll tell you, as far as with Rashee Rice, he gets volume, man. He gets targets. So that's the only reason why I say, if you got him, if you're starting him, I would leave him in there just because of the fact that he get the volume, he get the targets. So, you get the targets, you get more opportunities to make plays. You never know, he might bust one of those plays. You never know, but that's what I say with that, man. And as far as with the Chargers receiving, man, um, I don't even know if I would mess with none of them, man. I probably would sit all of them right now because of Justin Herbert. He got hurt again. And you probably want to keep an eye on that to see if he's gonna be able to play or he gonna be out. Um, so you probably want to keep an eye on that, man. And as far as with Xavier Worthy, one thing that I noticed the last game, he wasn't getting as many snaps as he normally do. It seemed like Juju Houston, um, it's kind of what you want to say, taking some of his snaps away. He's getting fewer snaps, so that's one thing you might want to look at with Xavier Worthy. So, and also another thing you want to know, man, the Chiefs defense is only allowing the seventh fewest yards to receivers, so they're pretty stingy in the secondary, also, man. Uh, Moving on along, we're gonna move to the next game, which is the Browns and the Raiders. And in this game right here, man, you most definitely want to start Amari Cooper, man, because the Raiders secondary right now, they're not doing too good either, man. The Raiders, they're on defense, they're giving up the 10th most fantasy points with yards and touchdowns to receive. They're like I said, they're not doing too good on the secondary, man. So you most definitely want to start Amari Cooper. Jerry Judy, maybe you put him in the flex, maybe, but I most definitely would get Amari Cooper because he's getting the volume and he's getting the targets, man. As far as with the Raiders, man, my opinion, I know Devontae Adams, he a top tier receiver. Um, I wouldn't, if it was any other quarterback, I would never say sit him, man, because he'll baller. He'll baller. But right now, what's hurting him is the quarterback, man. Even though he's still getting targets. Now, don't get me wrong, he's still getting the target. But I'm just a little unsure on him, man, because they not really sure with the quarterback, man. I think they going back with Minshew this week, but you just never know, man. If he not doing good, they might pull him like they pulled him last week and put the other guy in. So, just look out for that. Watch that. Next game we're gonna go to the 49ers and the Patriots, and right now, man, the 49ers defense, and I was shocked when I seen this, man, because the 49ers keep a good defense. But right now, the 49ers are giving up the third most receiving yards to receivers. And they're also giving up the seventh most fantasy points to receivers. So as far as with the Patriots, man, you probably want to play D. Douglas. Um, the other receivers on the Patriots, I don't know if I wouldn't mess with them, man. I would, but I most definitely would, because D. Douglas in the slot, he most definitely probably get some plays. Um, probably could use him as a good flex. Um, and also the Patriots, they're giving up the sixth most fantasy points to receivers. So that lets you know, Brandon Ayuk, you most definitely want to start him. He should have a big game this week. Um, and Jawan Jennings, you want to watch him, man. Basically, really with him, you want to watch and keep an eye on if George Kittle play. Because I know he was hurt last week. So you just want to keep an eye and see if he come back and play. If Kittle comes back, then that's probably gonna take targets away from John Jennings. But if Kittle doesn't play, you most definitely want to start Jennings if Kittle doesn't play, because he's going to get the targets. Him and IU most definitely going to get the targets. And as you all know, most if you didn't know, you should know that Debo he's out. And as far as I know, I haven't heard anything about him coming back and playing this week. So um, I haven't heard anything about him coming back and playing. So that's pretty much it on that. And next game we'll go to is the Bengals and the Panthers, man. And right now, the Panthers are giving up the second most touchdowns to receivers. So you most definitely want to start Jamar Chase because he most definitely probably is going to get in the end zone. So you um, most definitely want to start Jamar Chase. And as far as with the Panthers, you want to start Johnson because now that Dalton is playing, him and Johnson, they got a pretty good connection going on, man. And Cincinnati defense, man, they've been up and down, man, because they the week before they played the Chiefs in a tough game, then they turned around and played the Redskins Monday night, and Jaden Daniels, man, he torched them, man. He lit them up, man. So with their defense, they pretty inconsistent right now. So I most definitely would start Johnson for the Panthers, and you want to start Jamar Chase um, with the Bengals, and the other receiver is Andre Olaveus. I guess that's how you pronounce it, Andre Olaveus. He's been doing pretty good, scoring touchdowns out of the slot position the past couple of weeks. So he might, by the Panthers giving up the second most touchdowns, he could have a possibility of getting in the end zone too, man. And you never can't count T Higgins out. So you might, probably might want to put them in a flex situation like that, man. And let's go ahead and move to the next game, man. We're gonna move to the Monday night game. We're gonna move to the Monday night game, which is the Seahawks and the Detroit Lions, man. And this game right here, you most definitely want to start DK Metcalf and you want to start Tyler Lockett. And if you got Smith Njigba, you probably want to use him in the flex, man, because right now Detroit, they got some injuries on the secondary, and I mean they got some injuries on defense, period, man. And then as far as their pass defense, man, they're allowing the most receiving yards. They're allowing the fifth most fantasy points to receivers. And like I said, they have a lot of injuries on defense, man. So you most definitely want to start Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Smith Njigba. You use him as a flex or whatever. And as far as Detroit's receivers, man, right now the Seahawks, they're giving up the third fewest receiving yards and they're giving up the fewest fantasy points to receivers. So their secondary is pretty stingy, man. So as far as St. Brown, um, you use him as a flex, man, because he's most definitely he's gonna get the volume. So with him, he one of those type of receivers, man. You can't count him out. Jameson Williams, I would sit him, man. I don't, with the way the Seahawks secondary been playing, I would sit him, man. That's just my opinion on that. And that's pretty much it, man. As far as NFL Week 4 fantasy football, you're starting to sit with the receivers. Y'all also anybody that's looking, watching, make sure you like and subscribe, man. And I will be doing more shows. I'll be coming out soon with the start six with running backs, tight ends, and the quarterbacks, man. So this is Big Tight with Tight No Sports, and